All right, let's go. So, episode number 6 of eCom Raw Reality, and in this one, we'll talk about how to make money with email marketing in eCom in 2025. So, if you haven't watched the last few episodes, we discussed about Facebook, about Google, and now about email marketing. And I'm not the email marketing guru here, but I know well enough how to use email, Klaviyo, which is the primary, at least right now when I'm filming this. So March 19th, 2025, it's usually the primary channel for most ecom brands. And the reason why, even as a paid guy, right? Because for most of my clients, it's usually Facebook ads and Google ads and some creative strategy that we help with. But right now, there are actually like 2 clients onboarded recently at my agency where we are doing email marketing. And that's because they are at the stage where they're not a 7, 8, 9 figure brand that they need like a 10K retainer from an email agency, but they actually need someone that can just help them at least with a strategy. And also, the main reason why you need to know email marketing to some extent when you do paid media is because you can send traffic with paid media. But if that traffic doesn't convert, then you're losing it and wasting potential money, leaving money on the table. And I'll give you 3 things, so 3 examples, and we'll go over 3 things basically on why and how to actually use email marketing. But in ecom, it's really important to actually do it because you are paying for every click that you're sending to the website. Or if you're not paying with money for paid ads, you're paying with your time for organic content. And that is why there are 3 things that you need to have when you run email marketing for a brand. You integrate an email provider like Klaviyo for your Shopify store. And first of all, it's flows. And I'm starting with flows because if you don't have any email list, the first thing that you need to do is at least collect emails. And how does that work? Well, pretty simple. Let's say that someone lands on your website, they see that they don't want to buy anything. However, you do have some kind of pop-up on your website. Or let's say if you've seen that type of bar on the top or bottom left side, bottom right side, where you can put your email and then you will get a 10%, 15%, maybe 20%. If someone is generous, you will get a discount code. And that is one incentive to actually get someone's email. And the beauty of that is that then you can, in most cases, email that person for the rest of their life, more or less, unless they don't engage. So, for example, in my case, right? If I find some new brand nowadays, usually I don't actually buy right away or don't buy at full price. And the main reason is that first, I know they will have some discounts eventually, either Black Friday, I will wait 8 months if it's not necessary. Or second, I will just try to get on their email, their SMS and so on and get a discount. Because why not get it? I mean, it's in your best interest. If you don't have anything else to spend money on, then props to you. But if you can get a discount, that's an advantage for you. And if you will buy from that brand again, it's also for them because they want you as a longer time customer. They want a lifetime value out of you. So flows, and being tactical here is pretty simple. Having a browse abandonment, checkout, add to cart, welcome, and then if we want to get more advanced is the post purchase one. And one of the most important ones is actually that welcome one, which is primarily focused on the person who put their email, and in most cases it is for a discount because otherwise they won't put it if it's just randomly. So flows, super important. Then let's think of those brands that already have email subscribers, right? Those are the ones that I kind of like to work with if I work with any, because ideally you do have some campaigns running. You ideally have a list. So for example, if you send to 5K or 10K people, just a few will buy. But if you do that consistently, if you get $250 in sales for every email, how many would you send? You might send maybe 10, maybe 8, a month, just not to have one daily if you don't have a big list and you don't want to get annoying. So that means money in your pocket for a very low cost, because sending email is a very low cost compared to paid media where you pay for every click $2, $3. It's true that on Klaviyo you might pay the same if you actually do the math and how many people actually click. You will still pay some amount, but overall, just for the visibility of being there in front of your customer all the time or potential customer, that's a big advantage. Because all of us get notified by a lot of things, right? Even myself, I have here a bunch of notifications. However, what we typically do, right, is go to our email. So let me just open Gmail real quick here and let's see what do I have in my promotional tab, because you will see a bunch of things. Usually I don't have too many from what it seems, but look, for example, I have one from Space Goods, right, which is some kind of blend. I don't know how to explain it, but this is basically more or less, they just emailed me because, as you can see, it's just taking a peek. That's the headline. And then they show me the product. That's probably because I just visited the website recently and Klaviyo already has my email. They already know, they track me, so I get an email, right? So this is how email and brands can stay on top of your mind, and in most cases, where attention goes, energy flows. That's like the personal development part, right, of it. But like where focus goes, money flows, because it's logical. If you think about food, that's what you'll pay for. If you think all day about cameras, eventually that's what you will eventually buy, right? So first of all, flows, second, campaigns, and third, there are so many ways we could go about this, but it's really just testing and data. Because in most cases, you can set up some flows and you can leave them there for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. You don't have to necessarily change them all the time. Some do, some don't. It's not that important, especially if you get a good ROI already. However, if you check flows, and specifically campaigns, because campaigns, you can't set them and forget them. You can send the same email. It does get repetitive. You can try to create them faster, better, and so on, but it's still all about making sure that you actually look at the data and then try to test new things, right? Because for example, that's why I have right now an email client, because they just got tired of another agency that they weren't doing anything new. And sometimes it was just like finding a new design because maybe the designer was bored, right? And that's why it's really important to have a reason for everything. That's why even in these videos, as you can see, usually I break things down in threes. For example, what type of tips I'm giving you, the 3 takeaways, the 3 things to focus on, because if things go more than 3, usually it's super hard to actually remember. And even in this case, right? For example, you might think of flows, you might think of campaigns, or just testing and looking at data, because it's very hard to do all 3 of them at the same time. If you have just 1 hour, you can usually do one of them, and even that won't be enough, because if you want good results with anything, you have to put in time, energy, and expertise. Because right now also I'm starting to be more of a DTC operator, because I'm starting to understand the paid media, which is my bread and butter, but then the creative part, then email, then the financials, economics of a business. And then you also have other things, right, which you might not like as much, and that's why you usually outsource it, such as customer service or designing the website, landing pages, so many other things. So there are multiple components all the time, but most important, as someone who works in a specific industry, ideally you do understand as much as possible, because the more you understand, the easier it gets. The easier it gets to know where to look, what to do, and how to make improvements. And this is what everyone is more or less looking for. Someone who is, let's say, confident, but confident because of things that they've done in the past or because of their experience. And usually the more you see, the better you get, because it's not like I'm some kind of guru, genius. Like even if I have glasses, I wouldn't say my IQ is that high or anything, you know, like The only reason why over time I've grown is because I've just put in so much effort, dedication, and it's just about time invested. The more time you invest into something, the more likely you are to get better at it. It's not a guarantee because you do need to focus on the right things, but in most cases it is more likely. So with that, we'll end. Basically, how to make money with email marketing. To recap, have flow set up, send emails, depends how many, right? This is the tactical part, like even ChatGPT can tell you this, but it's more so what to focus on, right? I'm not talking about email marketing just because. I'm talking about it because it's that important for e-commerce and for paid media as well. And then like email is actually its own thing. And third, testing and looking at data. That's what makes you get better over time. Just looking at the small changes that you need to make. And to make a comparison here is just like if you were in a basketball game, soccer, football, whatever. You look at your opponent, you look at the field, you look at the options that you have, and you won't win all the time. You won't have the best performance all the time. However, it is likely to get better over time because you just notice multiple things. So that's the thought process here. So with that, we'll end it, keeping it shorter than usual. And if you liked it, as you know, you can leave a like. And if you haven't watched the previous episodes, you can give them a go. So that's it for today. And until next time, peace out.